Hi, it's me again, Malanka, and I'm going to start telling my story. So, I have two kids. My oldest is now 7, and my youngest is 4.5. I thought everything was fine up until after I had my daughter, and I saw that my ex Kyle was kind of pulling away. He was at work a lot. Works in auto body, and he wasn't home much to help me with the kids. We had just moved into a brand new house when I was 36 weeks pregnant with our second. So trying to get into the new groove of everything with two children wasn't easy for me. And after having my daughter, I dealt with pretty bad postpartum depression. And initially my ex was understanding and kind of supportive, and I was kind of surprised about it, to be honest. And then he started to be really mean. A couple months after, he started putting me down and saying that no one would want to be friends with me if I acted this way. And it was really, really hard. And I swear, because my daughter was born just before Christmas, by the summer, I honestly had feelings he was cheating on me. And I asked him. I flat out asked him if he was cheating on me, and he denied it. I remember going to our sister-in-law's cousin's birthday party at my brother-in-law's property place. They offered to throw this huge bash for him, and I was really struggling with my postpartum. I didn't feel comfortable. There were so many people, and I really withdrew. And my ex basically told me, no one's gonna want to come up and talk to you when you're acting like this. You look horrible. He just kept on putting me down. And that was the first time that I had called the suicide hotline because I wanted to kill myself. He was nasty towards me, and we had both of our kids there, and no one seemed to really care what I was going through. Fast forward to September 21st of 2019 was my sister-in-law's birthday party. And with the two kids, my daughter was very adamant about sticking to a sleep pattern. And right at 7:00 p.m., if she wasn't in bed, she was screaming and she wanted to go to bed. Like, she would literally crawl to her room telling me she needed to go. Like, she did that with naps too. It was amazing. Now it's a little bit more difficult. It's stressful, but so I ended up going a little bit earlier to my brother and sister-in-law's place just to wish her a happy birthday so the kids could see them. And I went home because it was a Saturday and my ex was working, or at least working. That's what he was saying to me, that he had to go to work. And he had beat us home just as I was coming home with the kids to get them ready for bed and all that. And he was acting a little bit weird, but he wanted to go to the party. And I have had issues of being okay with him going out without me, because when I ask him to come home, if I need help or anything, he usually just blows me off, and then something happens, there's a huge fight, and he doesn't come home for several hours. So it's made it really hard to trust to let him go without me, especially when I've been at home taking care of the kids all by myself with no help from him. But I said, fine, do you know what? Go, enjoy yourself. And I want to say about 3 or 4 hours after that, my postpartum really was kicking in, and I was feeling very lonely, and I needed my husband with me. And he was a complete asshole. I asked him to come home, and he said, no, I'm having too much fun. I'm going to stay here. He didn't come home for another 2-3 hours. We had a huge fight. And we went to bed. The following morning, I got up with the kids because ever since our second child was born, it was impossible for me to actually sleep in. I never woke him up in the middle of the night to help me with our children, knowing that he had to get up in the morning to go work most of the time. I did do most of the care for our children. I let him sleep unless I absolutely needed help because of a huge blowout that needed to be cleaned up. I let him sleep. And it didn't matter if the kids cried or screamed or anything, he wouldn't wake up. He would actually fall asleep to them crying. So I felt very alone. But anyways, I ended up getting up with our kids, got them ready. He was still sleeping, and I had some running around to do in the city. So I loaded the kids up, and I took them with me because I'm used to that. I'm used to not doing things without my children. And when he woke up, he ended up getting really mad at me. Like, why didn't you wake me up? I would have watched them. I wanted to watch them. I wanted to spend time with our kids. And then all of a sudden he kind of flipped and said, no, actually, I need some time alone. I need some space. I need some time to think. And so I gave it to him. I needed to focus on my kids and their needs. And he left the house. I came home after doing my running around. I took care of the kids. I did everything. I put them to bed. And that's when life as I knew it was over. That night, because when he came home, the explosion that happened was catastrophic. He blamed me for everything, said I was a problem. I was the reason why he hated working. I was the reason why he hated working overtime. I was the reason why he hated hunting anymore. I ruined his life. He went on for about a half hour and just ripped me a new one. Like, I did something wrong when all I've ever done is try to be there for him and please him and support him through all the job changes because he was frustrated with this place and this wasn't going right at this other place, and the amount of nights that I've slept on the couch because we would just have nonstop fights because it didn't matter how I felt or if I expressed my feelings, I was the problem. So after he ripped me a new one, I just walked away. I walked into the bush. I ended up spending some time in his tree stand in the backyard. I was crying nonstop. I was talking to my friend, and she was telling me that I should go back into the house and try and talk to him again. I didn't want to go back into the house. I wanted to spend the whole night out there. I didn't want to see him. I was broken. I ended up going back to the house, and he was downstairs. I don't know, I can't remember what he was doing. He was in our basement, and I went into the basement bathroom and I stepped into the shower. I don't even remember if I washed my hair or if I washed my body. All I remember is curling up into a ball at the bottom of the shower and just crying. I cried so long that we ran out of hot water. There was no more hot water. It was nothing but cold water. And eventually he came into the bathroom and found me in that state. Now, the husband that I knew, he wasn't him. He turned off the water, but he left me sitting there on the floor in the bottom of the shower, freezing. Didn't try and put a towel over me, didn't try to hold me. He saw, like, I was sobbing. I was uncontrollably crying. And he showed no emotion or care. Eventually I got out of the shower and I was trying to plead with him. And there's the trauma bond kicking in. I was trying to plead with him, like, what's going on? Why are you treating me like this? Like, what did I do? I don't know what I did. I sat on the floor. We called it our theater room in the basement. Kind of halfway in the middle of the room, and he was sitting on the couch. Showed no emotion whatsoever. Didn't care what he was doing to me, the wife, the person that he was with for, at that time, was almost 9.5 years. We were married for 4 years at that point. A week before that was our 4th year anniversary. And he wasn't the person that I knew. He had no problem with hurting me. And he was so cold and distant that after, I want to say about an hour, he said, I need space. I'm going to work. Which again was very odd. Like, it's 11 o'clock at night and you're leaving to go to a auto body shop to do work. Like, my red flags were really flying. Like, I was, what the hell's going on? Is there really that much work to do? Because all he kept on saying was, I need to work. I need to try and pay off our bills. We have so much debt. Like, kept on saying that. Yet, over the year of, after we had our second child, I didn't see any of our debt going down. Except for what I was trying to pay off with what little money I was bringing in from mat leave. But our finances weren't getting any better. We weren't getting into a better financial situation whatsoever. So my brain was telling me there's something going on here. There's something's wrong. And he wasn't home much. He worked a lot, but like I said, that was basically the start of the end. That one day changed everything and started the nightmare of a downward spiral that he put me in, and I'm convinced was determined to push me to the point that I would actually kill myself.